Okay, welcome everybody. You're attending, as you can see, Public Speaking, the Business Game Changer with Bobby Carlton. And before I let her get started, I'm going to just do a quick intro about SCORE and let you know about SCORE a little bit. We offer free and confidential mentoring to folks that are in business or are looking to start a business. We are still doing video, phone, and email. We are looking at opening some more face-to-face appointment times, but that hasn't quite happened yet. We're getting there. Just a little bit background information. All of our mentors are volunteers and they come from different backgrounds. They have different experiences that they want to share with you. You can meet with a mentor as often as you like. You can meet with multiple mentors, which often happens. Sometimes they'll build teams to assist our clients. If for any reason they don't have someone that can help you within our chapter, we will reach out to the district or we can reach out nationally. That's what makes SCORE so nice. If you already have a SCORE mentor, reach out to them. They love to hear what you've been up to. They'd love to hear what, your new ideas, bounce your ideas off of them. They love working with clients long-term. If you don't have a mentor, here are the website links for our district. I will put those in chat when I'm done with my intro. You can get a mentor there. You can also find tools and templates. You can find other recorded programs, lots of different information, very robust websites. If you don't want to go to the website, put a note to me in chat. I will connect you to the chapter that you belong to and have someone reach out to you to set up an appointment. We are going to use Q&A. It just keeps it a little bit cleaner for questions. Chat for comments, absolutely. But Q&A just allows me to not lose track of those questions. And I will make sure those are fed to our presenter today so we can get as many questions answered as possible. And if you enjoy your program today, Google My Business. We'd like to hear from you, hear your review of us. Okay, I want to introduce Bobby to you today. I've heard her speak before. You're in for a big treat. I'm gonna go ahead and stop my share and hand it over to you.
Thank you so much. And I have got to back up what she was saying about SCORE. I am a SCORE client too, and I love my SCORE mentors. So on that note, let's get started. And I am going to do a screen share as well and walk you through a couple of slides. If you have a question, definitely pop it into the Q&A. And if need be, they'll stop me and answer the question. Otherwise, we will pick those up at the end. So let's get started. I mean, I think the big question for a lot of people, especially smaller businesses and solopreneurs, is how does public speaking help my business? We think about public speaking, some of us with a little bit of trepidation, myself included, as something that maybe takes us away from our business. But at the same time, I have to tell you, I consider it a big part of making your business grow. So just a quick introduction for me. You saw that bio earlier, but I consider myself a parallel entrepreneur, not a serial entrepreneur. I started 3 separate companies. So the day job is Carlton PR and Marketing. I make a living as a public relations and marketing person, and I have a small agency. My night job is something called Innovation Nights. In the Boston market, we've helped to launch more than 1,500 new products that got more than $4 billion in funding. And Innovation Women, the third company, is what I call the dream job. My dream is to get more women on stage at conferences and events. And I have a small platform which connects event managers and speakers directly. So a lot of the work that I do around public speaking is focused particularly on women as speakers. But at the same time, I will tell you, we've got 1,500 really awesome female speakers on our platform. and a handful of really secure guys. So these principles apply to everyone. I have done a TEDx speaking engagement. You can find it if you Google my name and TEDx. And I've also done things as broad a field as I spoke at the UN once. So I do a little bit of public speaking myself, but I do tend to warn people with very high expectations that my primary job is to get you on stage, not necessarily get myself on stage. I also, over the pandemic, engaged in what I consider retail therapy. I bought two additional businesses, another one, which is a service for speakers called My Speaker Leads. And I also acquired a digital magazine for female entrepreneurs called Lioness. And again, these things are all part of what I do to increase my business success. So, speaking of business success, I'm going to take you back in time a little bit and talk to you a little bit about when I started my business and how I realized that public speaking could be a big part of my business success. So, perhaps some of you remember in 2008 when the market fell off a cliff. I was one of the people that was impacted with that. So I was working for a startup at the time that ran out of money. A lot of startups ran out of money at that time. We were not alone, and there really were no jobs. So I hung out a shingle, started doing public relations and marketing consulting work. And I also got very involved in social media. So the social media helped me get back involved with something I'd been doing many years before. I was working on the board of the Charles River Museum of Industry and Innovation in Waltham. And if you're familiar with the place, you're probably one of the very few people who are familiar with it. The Charles River Museum is the birthplace of American industry. It's the site of America's first integrated factory. And the museum is not real well known. It's kind of hard to find. I often tell people it's the bar mitzvah capital of Waltham. It's a place where you can hold events as well as find out more about our industrial history. And I had an idea to do a social media powered event, bringing together a group of startups and helping them get visibility by using social media. It was basically an experiment that became my second company, Innovation Nights. And as part of Innovation Nights, I was suddenly thrust into the role of being the host and doing quite a bit of public speaking. So, over the years, 12 years to be exact, I was the host for Innovation Nights. And that required me to stand up in front of an audience. Those first few times, there's plenty of evidence of how absolutely uncomfortable I was with that role. But it also really cemented for me the idea that this could be a really important part of growing my business. Getting back to that first question, why speak? That visibility drives business opportunity. Every time you get on stage, you have the opportunity to tell your story and to connect. So, my goal here today is to get you to say yes to public speaking. We're going to talk a little bit about this very specific benefits of public speaking. I call them the 5 C's. The first C is competence. When you stand on stage and you talk to an audience, you are demonstrating that you are competent. People believe in you. You are demonstrating your confidence as well. What you are able to do is show people that you have confidence in what you are saying and that you know what you are saying. You can make connections through public speaking. A lot of people think about public speaking in terms of, I'll call them butts and seats. And the reality is, when you do public speaking, you are making so many more connections than just the people in the room. Think about it. When they were promoting this particular webinar, my name, my photo, my company name, and my area of expertise was broadcast to this huge swath of people via email. My name, my company name, and my expertise are on a website somewhere. They probably tweeted it out or posted something on Facebook or LinkedIn. And oh, by the way, if I say something particularly brilliant, someone in the audience might share it on social media or share it in conversation. Just because you're not into social media, it doesn't mean I don't still love you. And you can use your words to communicate with people. So I am making so many more connections than just the people in the room, just by the fact that I was willing to stand up and say, I will give a presentation. The next C is credibility. When you are on stage, the feeling is that you know more than the people in the audience. You have been specifically chosen to share your knowledge or your competence, your area of expertise with people in the audience. You have instant credibility when you stand on stage. And cold hard cash. Even if you are not a speaker who gets paid to speak, you still make more money when you are a comfortable public speaker. There are so many studies out there that talk about how people who are not comfortable with public speaking actually make less during their careers. Employers pay them less money. And if you are interested in what one of the world's richest men believes about public speaking, this quote is actually something that I think a lot of people have seen because the organization Dale Carnegie uses it in a lot of their marketing. They use this quote with Warren Buffett's permission because he's a big fan of the organization. He was famously just terrified of public speaking to the point of getting ill whenever he had to think about doing public speaking. And he took a Dale Carnegie class, and the rest is history. But this particular quote stems from a story about his own public speaking. He was speaking at Columbia University to a class of MBA students, and he made them an offer. He said, I will give you $100,000 for a certain percentage of your future earnings. I want to invest in you. And the students, I'm sure, were like, oh my God, is this a good deal for me? Is this a good deal for Warren Buffett? Is this how he became the world's richest man? He wasn't done, though. What he did is he went on and he said, I will give you $150,000 for the same share if you consent to taking classes in public speaking, because you are worth more. And this is where that quote came from. So at the end of the day, the 5 C's, cold hard cash, you are worth more when you are a comfortable public speaker. So if that's not reason enough to say yes to public speaking, just wait, I've got more. I created this concept called the speaker's paradise. And I firmly believe that there is a paradise out there for people who are comfortable with public speaking and who are interested in public speaking and how it will help their business. So I don't know if you know it, but before the pandemic, there were more than 50,000 individual TEDx talks. Eventbrite in a single year sold tickets to more than 3 million different events. There were 559,000, more than 500,000 monthly meetup events. And that's to say nothing of the 92,000 professional organizations in the US alone. We're talking about a $37 billion events industry. Now, pandemic comes along. We've got the whole new normal thing going on. Goodness knows what stage we're going to be at when. And this is all actually very localized as well. Event managers, when the pandemic came around, had to make some choices. Not easy choices, believe me. They could either cancel, they could postpone, perhaps indefinitely. No one knew how long the pandemic was going to last, or they could go virtual. Events like this, right? We're doing this whole conversation online. Now, as somebody who is perhaps interested in public speaking, so many more options. I can do 2 or 3 presentations a day from my house. Whereas before, I'd have to get in a car, I'd have to battle Boston traffic, maybe I'd have to hop on a plane and go someplace. So all of a sudden, they are making it really easy for us to be public speakers. And oh, by the way, there were a lot of people who said, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm done. I'm not going to be doing any public speaking, or I'm not comfortable on camera. Close up is not a comfortable place for me. I'm not comfortable with the technology. So actually, there's a little bit of a decreased competition. And on top of that, if you think about the events world, conferences and events, $37 billion industry. If you were somebody who exhibited at events, or maybe you walked the floor and looked for business, suddenly you have to do a different kind of marketing and sales. Maybe you're starting your own online events. So, again, many, many more options for us, a true speaker's paradise, especially if you think about some of these events and conferences. They're not just bringing in one speaker, they're bringing in hundreds or dozens of speakers. We worked with a couple of big conferences that had more than 500 speakers that they were looking for. So let's dive into now the business of speaking. And for people who are not doing public speaking on a regular basis, sometimes it's not really something they're very aware of. So let's walk you through a little bit of that business so you know what to expect. I want to start you out by really thinking about how you position yourself. Are you really a speaker? If you are somebody who is interested in public speaking for the option of getting paid, positioning yourself as a public speaker may not be your biggest payday. You may want to think of yourself and position yourself as a facilitator or a trainer, or maybe as a consultant. Those speaking opportunities may not be paid, whereas somebody who comes in and says, I'm going to lead a workshop at your conference does get paid. So start off with thinking about your mindset as a speaker. What is your goal for public speaking? Are you speaking to get visibility and drive visibility for yourself and your business? Or are you looking to get paid as a speaker? There are a lot of people who make a lot of money as public speakers. I think about a lot of the big name speakers. Just yesterday, I was at the Mass Conference for Women, and some of the main stage speakers are absolutely people who get paid to speak. This, for some of them, is their business. You can also be speaking for leads to get access directly to customers or prospective customers. So if you are thinking about speaking to get leads to customers, you also have to think about not just how do I get on stage, but how do I connect with that audience later? When you are thinking about your speaking goals, you need to think about who you want to talk to. Do you want to speak to referral sources, or do you want to speak directly to prospective customers? So you have to understand a little bit about where your potential customer is hanging out. You have to know a little bit about your perfect target customer and their demographics. And one of the things that I point out to a lot of beginning speakers or people who are just thinking about public speaking opportunities is you want to think about where your customers are, not necessarily where your competitors are hanging out. And the example I'll give for that is, remember my day job, I run a PR and marketing firm. If I was doing public speaking about public relations, maybe I should go and speak at the Public Relations Society of America, or maybe not, because the Public Relations Society of America's annual conference is filled with people who kind of look just like me. There's a lot of PR people there, and I'm talking at a place that is rich in my competitors. But if my target customer is a startup or a small business, I might be better off talking about public relations at a startup conference or a small business conference. So think about where your target market is, and it may not necessarily be the place where all of the people in your industry hang out. There are also so many different kinds of public speaking. I think a lot of us, perhaps somewhat nervously, think about public speaking as the lone speaker on stage all by themselves, the keynote, right? The person who sets the tone for an event or a conference. And you don't have to be alone up there. You could be a featured speaker on a smaller stage, a little bit less pressure. You could be a panelist. Panelists are awesome. Panelist opportunities are awesome. Because if you're a panelist, you might be sitting on stage with a group of your peers talking about what you do every day. You're not by yourself. You don't have to have a big presentation. You're just talking about what you do. You're an expert. You could be going to a college or university and being a guest lecturer. Local schools often have things like career days or presenters who come in and give programs. You could be a podcast guest or an interviewee on the local TV station. You could be the moderator or the MC. And another way to think about public speaking is think about asking questions. If you go to a conference or an event, or you're participating in an event online, you could be talking to the exact same audience that the speakers on stage are talking to when you ask a question. So at the end of the program, the speakers are like, now I'm all done. Are there any questions? Think about it. You could stand up, raise your hand, tell everyone in the audience, the same audience the speakers have been speaking to, this is my name. This is what I do. This is my company name. You have to put that question into context, and you have just done a form of public speaking. You are speaking to the same audience. It's a great way to get started, especially if you are a little nervous about public speaking. It gets you that experience of talking in front of other people. There are also so many different kinds of public speakers. So there are motivational speakers who are telling you their life stories and what they've learned. There are subject matter experts. Today, I'm playing the part of a subject matter expert. There are people that do something called direct sales. These are people who stand on stage, who will provide motivation, they will offer transformation. And often what they do is they reach out to the audience and say, you could work directly with me. And they are selling from the stage. I will tell you that a lot of conferences and events get very nervous when they see somebody coming in the door with a sales pitch. But there are special opportunities to speak where you are almost expected to sell. Those are direct sales opportunities. You could be an entertainer, maybe a comic. These are types of public speaking as well. And as the CEO, the president, or the founder of your company, you could be doing public speaking as a leader. And oh, by the way, every time you get on stage, you're being seen as a thought leader. So these are great opportunities. You could also be an educational kind of leader or educational kind of speaker. So different kinds of speaking for different kinds of opportunities. All of this is really designed to help you as a business person, help your audience make decisions, help you get in front of the right customers and give them the opportunity to buy from you and not somebody else. Because we all buy from people. And would you want to buy from somebody that you don't know, who has no public persona or profile? Or would you prefer to do business with somebody who is well known in their industry, who is well known in their marketplace, who you have seen on stage, somebody who has put themselves out there, not stayed hidden? So, again, this is why public speaking can be so important for you as a business owner. All right. Sounds great, Bobby. You sold me. How do I get myself up there? Well, this is called getting the gig. This is actually not as hard as it sounds. I mean, the basics are you're going to be searching for the words call for speakers. You're going to be connecting with the event managers. And the third part of this, do a great job. The more you speak and do a really good job, the more you will speak. Speaking begets speaking. All right. The basic currency of speaking at so many different conferences and events is the call for speakers. Event organizers often will just put out a form. It'll be on their website. It will be a Google form. It will be an email where you have to submit some information. It's a call for speakers. Sometimes you'll see the words call for papers, but that's usually more common in a scientific or medical arena. Go to Google. Google is your friend. And oh, by the way, if you want to go to Google right now, I have no problem with you opening up another tab and following along with this. And oh, by the way, if you find something that's a great opportunity for you, I want to hear about it. All right. So put it into the comments. What you do is you go to Google, put in the words call for speakers and your topic. If you want to do something in person and stay close to home, put in your location as well. So for me, for example, I would put in the words call for speakers, public relations, call for speakers, digital marketing, call for speakers, women's issues. I would probably put in Boston. I'm just outside of Boston, or Massachusetts if I wanted to do something in person close to home. And I will probably put in 2022 because those calls for speakers are looking for something a little bit out in the future. So this is part of narrowing the search. Now, if you don't find anything, one of the things that you can do is go down to the bottom of the search, down to the bottom of the page, and you're going to see the words searches related to and your search term. All right. In this particular case, I was doing a search for cybersecurity call for speakers, and Google is helping you. Google is letting you know that, hey, here are these other search terms that you could use to potentially get you to the right option. Another way to narrow the search is to click on the news tab at the top of the page. If you're not aware of it, Google actually divides up its research into a number of different options. So you have all, you have news, you have images, you have videos, shopping, and more. But the news section actually will get you press releases or announcements or media coverage. And often you'll see a press release when an organization is issuing a call for speakers. So you can see here the registration is open for the 10th annual ISC2 Security Congress, and the call for expert speakers is now open. That is so simple, right? It really does sound amazingly simple. You're filling in a form and bam, you're on stage. It's actually a little harder than that. But the first steps are easy and anybody can do it. We do things a little bit differently because, hey, I'm in marketing. And these are some of the things that we do to improve our chances of getting selected as the speaker. Our goal is to make our clients or our speakers be what we call the one speaker. You want to be the one speaker that everyone thinks of immediately when they need a speaker who can come in and talk about a particular topic. You need to have some focus in what you are presenting. I'm actually going to stop for a minute because I noticed there is a question that popped up, and see if it is a question that we should be answering immediately. Teresa?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So Char, I think I'm saying the name correctly, says, I am a Toastmaster. How do you feel about that organization as a public speaking tool?
I think anytime you get an opportunity to practice your public speaking is awesome. It's fantastic. When people come to me and say, I'm not comfortable with public speaking, or I don't feel confident in my abilities, Toastmasters is one of the organizations I point to. Two caveats. Number one, I also tell people that you may be comfortable checking out an improv class as well. Improv also will help you with your presentation skills. And for a lot of people, it's fun. And oh, by the way, it's also something that gives you comfort and confidence in answering questions. So just the whole mindset around improv is fantastic. Number two caveat on Toastmasters. Different Toastmasters chapters behave differently. If you don't get what you need out of Toastmasters, check out another one. There are tons of them. They are everywhere, and they do vary a lot, depends on the local leadership. I personally don't belong to a Toastmasters, but I have been a guest at several Toastmasters, and some of them were a better fit for me than others. I will say that one of the other things I think about when it comes to Toastmasters is they are more focused on kind of the mechanics of speaking. And for some speakers, the ability to not put in so much filler words is something they need to work on. And for other people, it makes them so hyper aware of filler that it creates a stumble. And filler words is something that Toastmasters is very focused on. Like, I have like, and I also use so too much. I'm very aware of that, but I've kind of given up on it. You say some words and they are ingrained in your speech patterns. Again, my job is to get you on stage, not necessarily be a perfect speaker myself. I hope that helps. All right.
That's
Any other
great.
questions?
I do have another one.
Yeah.
This one's anonymous, but can it be related focus? For example, I do Jewish women's empowerment, sensuality and spirituality, the sacredness of pleasure. They are related, but the topics of the actual speeches can look different.
Mhm.
Do you suggest a signature speech or multiple speeches that you can offer?
I'm actually going to address a little bit of this in this next section. So good question. But I also think that most speakers have what is called a signature talk. And if anybody isn't familiar with that terminology, it's generally the talk that supports your brand. This gets to the part that we're talking about here in terms of being the one speaker. If somebody says, I want to like find that speaker who does the thing about the speaker's paradise, they're probably going to end up in my inbox because I have established that as part of my signature. It's not necessarily my signature talk, it's more of a branding thing. So, I do think that everybody should have a signature talk if they're going to do a lot of public speaking, because you will find yourself giving some variation on your theme over and over and over again. And you should make it easy on yourself. But you may find that some audiences are better for you and don't quite fit into your signature talk theme. So you will end up creating special presentations for them. So depends, I guess, is the big answer. Anything else?
There is one more. We can do it, or you want to wait?
Yeah,
Or-
keep going.
Okay. Henry says, thank you, Bobby. This information is helpful and aids when presenting themselves in their own infomercial. My question is, as one who used to plan, schedule, and moderate speaking engagements like panel discussions, I now am working toward assisting speakers by writing their speeches. How do you recommend a speechwriter start the ball rolling?
So speakers talk. By definition, speakers talk. And I think a lot of times speakers will talk to each other. For example, every Friday morning, I have a Zoom drop-in call that I do for speakers. And we can get anywhere between 40 and 80 speakers there every Friday morning. And they are constantly, what do you use for this? How do you do that? This morning, we had a conversation about the different types of streaming platforms. So I think one of the things that you will need to do is find an excellent speaker to be a client and use them as your advertisement. So if you are not doing presentations yourself at this point, you will need somebody who is out there for you. Also, again, Google is your friend. Find different organizations that have speakers, and you will need to probably market yourself to those organizations. So, hope that helps.
That's it for now.
All right,
Thank you.
moving on. Okay, so we're all in on becoming the one speaker. Basically, this is the person everybody thinks of. And the example that I will give for that is a few years ago, I got a phone call. The phone call I feel like every speaker dreams of. We would like you to do our TED. I'm like, oh my God, yes, of course. I'm so flattered. Of course, I would love to do your TEDx. When is it? Tuesday. As in like a few days from now? Yeah, no, that ain't happening. Because TED is such an incredible brand and the expectation is so high that I felt it would be career limiting and business devastating if I got on a stage with 3 days preparation and screwed it up. So I said to them, no, don't worry. I realize you have to fill a slot. Somebody had canceled at the last minute. Bad speaker form, by the way. I will find you somebody. I have a database with 1,500 speakers. There must be somebody who is foolish. Prepared enough to do this right off the bat. I came back with 5 names. Organization is like, no, none of these people fits into our theme. And you are the first person that we thought of because we have a theme of innovation. Oh yeah, I founded Innovation Nights. I founded Innovation Women. That is part of my brand. If you are in Boston and you are doing an event that is oriented around innovation, you're probably going to call Bobby Carlton. So your goal is to make yourself as synonymous with whatever your theme is as that. This is going to be where you focus. Think about it. Is there a theme that runs through your career or your life? One of the things that we often tell people to do, and you've probably seen this, is go on Facebook, if you're a Facebook person, and post a question for your friends. If I wrote a book, what would that book be called? What would it be about? And you will often see that there is kind of a coalescence around a topic because people expect you to be a certain way. They know you. You have to get to what people expect you to talk about based on your areas of expertise, based on your history. Think about it in terms of what is the one piece of advice that you would give? What is the one piece of advice that people would come to you for? I don't want you to come off as somebody else. Every audience, every group wants the speaker to be genuine. They don't want you to be me. They don't want you to be some other speaker, some famous speaker. They want you to be authentically you. And when you speak, it has to be based on a foundation of your skills and your credentials, your passions and interests, and it has to fit in with your core values and your company mission. Your business mission is part of this. You can build a speaker foundation on top of your business success, on top of an experience you had or an achievement. And all of the content you create, all of the work that you have done is there to help you create that foundation. It is very, very hard to suddenly just burst forth like Athena from Zeus's head as a public speaker on a topic that you know nothing about, that you have no foundation in. So you have to have a foundation that people can look at and say, ah, yes, that person's expertise and all of their experience in life has made it so that they are capable of being the person who talks to us and leads us. Another thing I want you to think about is how would someone Google you, using that as a verb? How would someone search for you online and come up with you if they didn't know your name? I'm going to go back to my Speaker's Paradise example. If you Google Speaker's Paradise, put it in quotes so it's just Speaker's Paradise, you will probably get to my doorstep. You wouldn't even have to know my name because I have branded it enough. I have talked about the concept enough that it's out there and it's associated with me. There are talks that I have given, there are interviews that I have given, there's content that I have created. And doing it this way means that someone will find me if they go looking for that concept. So, can you create something or brand a phrase or a topic and be so consistent about it that people find you without ever knowing who you are? When you are thinking about what your speaker brand is, what your speaker topic is, you also have to take into account one more thing. What does the audience want to hear? What is useful to them? You need to fit right into that sweet spot between your brand, your expertise, and what the audience is looking for. And oh, by the way, if you can solve a problem for them, solve their pain, you have a winner. If you are positioning yourself for expertise, stand up, be proud, add it to your biography, add it to your LinkedIn profile, put it in your email signature. Tell people that you are a speaker. And every time you get on stage, share your successes, talk about it in social media. And after you're done, talk to the event manager and ask for a testimonial or a recommendation. These days, it's super easy to do that through LinkedIn. They have a whole little process where you can go back to the people that you worked with and ask for the recommendation. And the more testimonials and the more recommendations that you get from event managers, not random person in the audience, the more credible you are as a speaker. All right. Got yeses, yes, yet? I'm looking for more yeses. All right. If you are interested in doing some public speaking, feel free to go over to innovationwomen.com, sign up for our newsletter. Every week we send out an email and it's got a number of speaking opportunities in it. So we just make it super easy. And every week we're promoting how you can get out there and do public speaking because it is something that I firmly believe in. All right. Remember when I was talking earlier about getting started with public speaking, you can ask questions from the audience. This is your chance. And oh, by the way, whenever you ask questions from the audience, not only are you getting practice as a public speaker, you are making a speaker's day, because there is nothing worse as a public speaker than finishing a presentation and hearing crickets. Everybody's like, that was nice, we're done. And I'm like, no, wait, don't you want to ask something? This is your chance.
We
All right.
do have a question in chat.
My hero.
Hi, my name is John Fitzgerald, broker owner of Fitzgerald Real Estate. I really know my stuff and I'm not a speechwriter. I need help getting all of my knowledge on paper. Suggestions?
There is this amazing thing that we all kind of these days have access to. It's called Zoom. And if you don't have Zoom, maybe you have Teams or maybe you have some other video conferencing software. But there are these amazing tools that come with them. It's the transcriptions. So I can actually take a recording of anything I have said and get a transcription of it. And that transcription makes it so easy to create articles, to create presentations. It really does help. We will often take recordings of things that I've done and feed it into Otter, OTTER.ai. And Otter is a transcription tool. Makes it very easy. If you have access to Microsoft Office 365 and Microsoft Teams, that is among the best transcription I have seen, even better than the Zoom transcription. All right, so you got a whole bunch of content through transcriptions. A couple of other ideas for you on creating topics or content and getting access to the stuff that sits in your mind that you know, and you have to get it out there. If you are the kind of person who answers questions via email, every time you answer somebody's question via an email, take the question and the answer that you created and dump it into a document. After a while, you are going to have such an incredible storehouse of frequently asked questions that could become a blog. It could become so much great content, or it could be the basis of an article. So just a couple of ideas. I hope that helps.
Next question. This one's anonymous. 2 questions. What do we need to have in place in our business to start speaking? I'm just starting out without an email or a website yet. Are people really still looking for online speakers with Zoom burnout? I realize we're here to learn this, but find many event hosts trying to just do in person right now.
And there are, depending on what location you're at, there are absolutely people doing in-person events. Right now, I think we have something like 580 calls for speakers on Innovation Women. And this is nothing new. I mean, it really isn't. The calls for speakers, go back into the recesses of time. That has been something that I have seen calls for speakers really since I started in the industry. That was a very long time ago, gray hair. But I do think that you can find opportunities if you're a little bit nervous about it and or maybe don't know where to start with organizations that you belong to. Hello, SCORE. It's like you probably have an expertise that SCORE might find valuable. Or maybe you belong to an organization that meets once a month. Rotary clubs, all kinds of fraternal orders. Maybe you belong to a small business organization, or you belong to a professional organization. Start with the organizations and the events that you attend. You know who they put on stage already because you've seen them. You've been in the audience. It's a great place to start.
Henry Breyer, who is our question from earlier, that is a speechwriter, says, "Hey, I'd like to help you out, Mr. Fitzgerald." So I guess I would say, Henry, put your contact information in chat.
We have a winner.
Okay. Next question. I am Allison Chisholm, owner and founder of the marketing communications firm Choice Words. I have positioned myself as a strategic content creator. My tagline is "Words with a Purpose." Would using that phrase generate interest in hearing me speak? I'm a newbie at this.
I think there is so much that is so important about words these days and content. It really is important. But are you positioning yourself as a writer, or are you positioning yourself as a speaker? You're probably going to have to actually create a part of your website that says something like "hire me to speak," because a lot of people don't see the relationship, actually how close it is between writing and speaking the words. We're both dealing with words, but you need to actually spell it out for people. So I think you would probably have some really great concepts that people would be interested in, especially if you find the right audience, but you're going to need to tell them, be open, be direct. I am a speaker. I give presentations. And a lot of times, like there's we call it the £1 calling card. Oh, yes, I have a book. Here is my business book. And that actually is another thing that a lot of people do. There are authors who speak and speakers who are authors. Some speakers use their authorship as a way to kind of up-level their speaking. I'm not only a speaker, I'm an author. It also gives them a way to do a little bit different stuff in terms of compensation. So while an organization might not have money for a speaker, and by the way, I have tons of information about public speaking and getting paid. It might be that the organization doesn't have honorariums or doesn't give honorariums, but they'll buy a copy of your book for every member of the audience. Or if they're selling tickets through something like Eventbrite, you can suggest that they put up a ticket option to not only buy a ticket to the event, but buy a ticket and get the book for free or get the book in addition. So, there are a lot of different things that authorship allows you to do. So, number one, make sure people know you're a speaker. Give them that option.
Okay. And I think that one we already answered. I don't have any other questions right now. Wait. Oh, no, we got to thank you. And we have Henry and John connecting, so that's good. All right.
Yeah. And by the way, as a speaker, I will tell you that you never make enemies by finishing early and giving people 5 minutes back in their life. No.
Okay.
I will also say that one of the things that I have also done in the past is I'm actually kind of surprised, like nobody in this group did the thing that usually people do, which is they almost always ask me about getting paid to speak. And so I'm like, wow, you guys are unique in that. I don't think I've done a presentation in like, you know, 10 years that somebody didn't ask me. Oh, we do have more questions. Can
Yeah.
we go back to that?
Elaine Powers. And I started a collaborative art project for chemotherapy patients and supporters called Can You Make Hair for Me? At this point, I don't want an actual product though, except for the artwork. I do write a book of essays. Who should I be connecting with?
Wow. So I'm assuming you sell the book. Um, and is the book of essays related to the artwork and or related to chemotherapy? Because I could see you giving presentations at organizations for cancer patients and their families and their supporters, and being very popular, and also, you know, having a table at the back of the room to sign your books and sell your books. um, just a thought. Definitely think about what you want to accomplish with public speaking. You know, if you want to sell your book, there's public speaking to support that. If you want to raise money for your art project or raise awareness of your art project, maybe you're going to do public speaking at your local library. A lot of towns locally have halls or venues where they do presentations and people come in and do speaking engagements. Your local library may have a speaker series where they are bringing in local artists to talk about their projects. So, we have someone who is asking about the making money doing speaking. I knew there would be somebody. Thank you. All right, I'm going to share my screen. And when I first started Innovation Women 6 years ago, I did a survey of over 340 event managers. And I asked them, what do you pay speakers? Do you pay speakers? And at the time, so this was 6 years ago, half of all event managers have no budget whatsoever for speakers, just not even in their business model. The way they look at it, they are putting together an event and they're putting all of your prospective customers in the audience. You want to get paid too. So for them, you are not going to get paid by that group. And often these are professional organizations and their events. Half, 42% of event managers pay some speakers. They have money for keynotes. Often it's the brand name person, the celebrity, the Michelle Obamas, the Stacey Abrams, you know, who put butts in seats. People pay and buy a ticket because I want to see Michelle Obama speak. I always want to see Michelle Obama speak. But they have money for that category, but they still have a large swath of professionals in the industry who are speaking for visibility. So if you're doing the math with me, only 8% of event managers pay all or most of their speakers. We updated the survey just at the end of 2019, 2020, obviously pre-pandemic. You know, again, never is a big swath, sometimes also a big swath, and often and always much smaller groups. We then, during the pandemic, did a survey where we talked about, you know, who's getting paid, who's not getting paid, what's your usual fee, and virtual and in person. And I will tell you right off the bat, virtual payment is often a percentage of in-person payment. So, you know, generally we say anywhere between 60 and 75% if they are a paid opportunity. There's so many other ways to get paid and compensated for public speaking, though. Again, I talk about the book and really how people use authorship to get compensated. But a lot of speakers will tell me, I make more money from the stage by getting new clients selling products from my company than I will ever make in terms of honorariums and getting paid to speak. So just some food for thought. And there are a number of articles on my website about getting paid. So hope that helps. And I know we're at the end.
We are. Can I just give you one more question? Because I think it's a nice
If
one.
it's okay for
Yeah.
everybody.
I am the host of the podcast Hot Mama Chronicles, where I highlight women of color who are working on purpose on purpose. I am interested in getting involved in moderating and hosting. I have been a panelist at a couple of events, but I'm not sure how to ask for testimonials. What should I have in my toolkit to better position myself for doing that?
Number one, ask. You did them a favor by appearing on their stage, right? Number two, LinkedIn literally has a device, and you can go and Google this, how to ask for a LinkedIn recommendation is the terminology they use. And it literally has a whole form and a process that you use. So easy. If you're not into LinkedIn, ask them if they will offer you a option, a testimonial in exchange for your presentation. Ask them before you speak. Hey, if I do a great job, I knock it out of the park, would you be comfortable giving me a testimonial? I would love to use that. It makes it so much easier for me to get other speaking engagements. Thanks for your support. Very easy.
Excellent. Thank you, Bobby. Fantastic. I know everyone enjoyed the presentation today. I want to thank you, and I hope that we can have you back again. And I want to thank all those that have joined us. So everyone have a great weekend.
Thanks for having me. Take care. And I'm easy to find online.
Bye.
Bye-bye.